Let me make sure the audio's on. I think we're good. Hello, everybody. We are live. At least I hope so. We are live. Another episode. I'm getting a call already. Sorry about that. Yes, we are live. Another episode of Darian Talks UTSA. There's a lot to unpack. So I'm going to be all gas, no breaks today. There's a lot to unpack. We're going to talk, obviously, about UTSA baseball's head coach, Pat Hallmark, and the situation that's going on with him right now. There's a whole contract situation going on with him. There's just him sort of calling out, a lot of folks on, making sure that he has the support he needs. There's just a ton of stuff going on around UTSA baseball that I think is notable that we'll bring into the show today. I also have I have what I would like to call an exclusive story because I have not seen anyone on Twitter talk about it, post about it, or anything like that. I have not seen anyone talk about there being sort of a rift between Hallmark and Campos that didn't just happen recently. That's been sort of a thing all year. I'll talk a little bit about that and some of the things that I've sort of come across as I've talked to people around the program over this last couple of weeks. We'll also get into UTSA football stuff, of course. I think that a lot of what's been going on over the last couple of weeks with UTSA baseball's momentum, I think this puts a little bit of pressure on UTSA in 2025. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on that. And then we will also get into just the overall sense that I get that UTSA is starting to pay for overachieving. This is what happens when a program at this level wins and starts to make national noise. Some of the things that I detailed in my article at the beginning of this week, if you have not read the article, I'd recommend you guys go do that on X. But yeah, I think some of what we are seeing is because we are a program that is in a growth stage and we are maturing a lot faster than what our resources can do. But I'll get into that. Obviously, I will get into your comments as well. We already got some comments in, so make sure you guys get your comments, thoughts, and questions in early as we go ahead and get started here. So, all right. So the first thing I want to talk about, like I said, all gas, no brakes. I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Coach Hallmark situation. So what we know as of right now, we know a lot, but here's sort of the development that happened yesterday, and it's still sort of happening right now as new information has come out for those of you who have not seen it. So Coach Hallmark was talking to Ken's 5. And he brought up something interesting and said, hey, you know what? I don't know. He basically said, I'd like to come back to San Antonio and I'd like to come back to UTSA, but my contract is up. And I need some support from the pro. I need more support than what I've been getting. Kind of alluding to the fact that maybe he'll consider walking if he does not get the support he feels that he needs. That's what I took from those comments. And I think one of the important things to note on this is it's what I've been telling folks for a long time. People get annoyed with me on Twitter about this type of things, but you guys who come here and watch the show, I have been talking about this type of thing, not necessarily with UTSA baseball, but I've been talking about it with UTSA football for months upon months upon months. If we continue to not give these head coaches the resources they need, they will walk away. They will use their leverage to put pressure on whoever the shot callers are to get them what they want. We also can't look at these coaches and think that loyalty is going to be the thing that's going to keep them here. These are coaches with ambition. These are coaches that are highly They're on I mean, you got to look at Coach Hallmark. You got to imagine that he's on the top of everybody's list right now. When you think about the way he took the UTSA baseball program and took them to these new historic heights that he did. So if these coaches every single time they get in front of a camera, they stress about the support they need, right? They stress about not getting some of the things they want. That's a problem. And somebody has to deliver the goods. Or, which I think is more of a realistic thing. Listen, these jobs, like, so I'm going to talk about the athletic director's job. Her job right now, like part of her job is selling to her staff the vision, the long-term vision of where the program is going, the plans that they have in place to accomplish the goals that these coaches want. I'm talking about a resource plan, right? Like, hey, if you win this, you're going to get this, or all this type of stuff, right? What this tells me is this coach is held up his end of the bargain. He took UTSA's baseball team to something historic, and it is probably, not even probably, I think it is the furthest a program, within UTSA has gotten to a national championship. That actually happened. So that Coach Hallmark, has held up his end of the bargain. Our athletic director, from just looking at things, I'm not like throwing stones at it, but I'm just calling a spade a spade. If every time he gets up here and he says, hey, I'm not getting the support I need, I've done X, Y, and Z, what have you done for me? And what have you done for me lately? That's a problem. We're going to have to bridge that gap at some point. And this is sort of what I say to the people. There's a lot of people, and some of you guys could be here, maybe not, right? But there's a lot of people who are like, hey, I think I seen a tweet on Twitter, and I'm not trying to call these people out, but it's just a fact. I saw this, and it was cringeworthy for me, because I really wanted to comment, but I said I'll leave my comments and thoughts for the show. I seen someone tweet, hey, Lisa Campos has done no wrong at UTSA. She's done everything completely right, and I don't understand why people are barking up her tree right now. I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially the way I received that tweet. And I seen there was a lot of comments. There were people saying, you know what, you're right, but this, and that. Here's the thing on that. Like, whenever I have the conversation about the athletic director, people assume because I have a question, I question this or I question that. Why are we continuously hearing coaches come out every time they get in front of a camera and talk about support? They're not just talking to the fans. They're not just talking to donors. They are also talking to Hallmark said it specifically. He said the athletic director, he did this last week, the athletic director or whoever up there is making the decisions, either her or her bosses, the president. So anyway, I say that to say, like, she's done great things in terms of coaching hires. I'm gonna tell you something right now, like, that cannot be questioned. Her coaching hires have been phenomenal. She's done great things in terms of like seeing through some of these bigger projects from a facility standpoint. I know there was like groundwork laid already for that, but she definitely saw those things through, and she deserves a boatload of credit for that. But what people want to do is they want to stop there and like not necessarily ignore the other stuff. They want to just say like, oh, she's doing a great job because she's done this. Well, guys, that's only a part of the job. The other part of the job is fundraising. The other part of the job is marketing. The other part of the job is delivering on promises you make, which I'm going to get into that here in a little bit as well. There is multiple, like, I don't envy the job that she has to do. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I feel bad for her in a lot of ways because her hands are probably tied. We're in a situation where we have grown so much as a program, UTSA has. And I said this before, and when I wrote an article about this a few weeks ago, and people were like, oh my God, leave the AD alone. It's true. We are growing so much and we are taking these leaps and these bounds. It is hard for us from a resource standpoint to keep up with it and to match it. That's going to take time, right? But anyway, I go back to what the responsibility is there's a part of the job that she does exceptionally well. There's other parts of the job that from my seat and from the seat of the people that I talk to that are, you know, some within the program, some very close to the program, but people that I trust that wouldn't be pulling my leg here. And everybody's sort of singing the same song around this. This isn't just one or two people. I could probably count 10 plus people that I've talked to around the program that sort of has a sentiment like this of like, hey, there are some really high points right here that she delivers really well on. But there's these other pieces, these other points that we need improvement. And that is what's starting to come up and it's starting to show itself. So every time UTSA wins on a national stage, cracks start to show little by little. And that's what we've been seeing. So anyway, to give a little bit more on that and like the whole exclusive thing I was telling you guys, based on what I've heard, just based on what I've heard that the relationship between Campos and Hallmark isn't the greatest. I've heard that from multiple people at this point. They don't have the greatest relationship. There was some there was some frustration after the UCLA loss this past week about operations. And when I say operations, you know how you have these like directive operation roles and what they mean. Those operation roles means like, hey, who's going to handle hotels, flights, travel? Who's going to do some of this stuff? If I'm not mistaken, I believe UTSA flew commercial back from the game the day after. And I think they were expected, the team anyway, Hallmark, from what I understand, was expected to fly private. That was a problem that was voiced. And yeah, I mean, to me, it kind of like shows a coach was promised something and they weren't delivered what they were promised. And this is kind of what I mean. Like, guys, I tell y'all this all the time for those of you who've been with me for a while. When I tweet something or I write an article or something like that, it is not just coming from nowhere. I am not pulling anything out of my tail. I talk to a lot of people around the program that are very close to a lot of these situations. And yeah, like these things happen. Things aren't as peachy and cream. Now I understand like how I have to massage that out to people. Because we got some sensitive folks on X, and I get it. I understand it. Everybody's not privy to some of the information. There's so much that I do know that I can't even share. But what I can share is like when I say these, you know, when I kind of look at some of these things that are going on, like it shows signs of there are some cracks and there are some gaps that we got to close. And from everything I've heard, they're going to get the contract from Hallmark. I mean, they feel pretty good about making sure he gets the extension, and they're going to try to they're doing everything they can to get him to sign a contract, to sign the extension, from what I've heard. So there's no real worry there. At least I don't know if there's worry. I will say the new news about the contract that sort of happened was that came out today. Greg Luca, if you haven't read that, great job by Greg Luca. Give him a shout out. He was a guest on one of the earlier shows. He reported today that there was, when Hallmark said his contract was up on May the 31st, there was apparently a clerical error on one of the amendments to the contract whenever they were going through the extension. So his contract has had two amendments since he signed an extension in 2022. There was one in 2023 and one in 2024. The one in 2024 had a clerical error that made the expiration date of the contract May 31st of 2025. Here's what one of the things I wanted to comment on with that. You gotta be careful with contracts. I've been for those of you who know my day job, I've been doing contracts for about a decade now, for some pretty big companies. So I see this stuff all the time. Whenever there's a mistake, and this is all just report, I'm just going off of what Greg Luke reported. What he reported was there were these amendments to the contract, but the clerical error that was made, what if I read his article correctly, Campos told or made um, Hallmark aware of the clerical error, but that alone doesn't make that enforceable, if that makes sense. Um, that clerical error has to be amended, and I'm not seeing any sign in the contract or in the in Greg Luca's um, article. I'm not seeing any signs that that clerical error was then amended. All they said was, "Hey, he has a draft contract right now, and we're trying to get the extension." So to me, there's a couple things that's messy about this. Number one, why didn't if there was a clerical error, why why wouldn't we go back, and that's a simple amendment that takes 10 minutes. It takes 10 minutes to do. I can draw up a simple amendment right now in 10 minutes, easy. I mean, probably less than 5 minutes if you're just correcting a date. So why wasn't that done? Number one. Number two, if that wasn't done, you got a messy situation that's quite frankly embarrassing. So we have a coach saying my contract is up, and we have the university spokesperson coming out and saying, "Oh, we think he's a full-time employee." To us, he's a full-time employee through 2026. This is embarrassing, folks. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. I can't tell you how many messages that I've gotten of people saying, like, what's going on here? What is this? And guys, come on, man. But this is what I'm saying. Like, these types of things have to be buttoned up. They have to be buttoned up. You can't get to, first off, we shouldn't even get to a point with a coach this way. And I'm gonna get into your comments in a bit, but I wanted to start off with that because this Hallmark situation is just bonkers to me. It's bonkers. Um, I listen. He like that program, the baseball program within UTSA deserves more support. They deserve more attention. They deserve everything that they're asking for. I mean, but as a athletic director, I'm sure I'm not saying I'm one, but I'm saying, like, if you sit yourself in their seat, imagine you're the athletic director. You have this small amount of resources, and it's a fixed amount of resources. They have to go somewhere, and a lot of those are going to go to football and these types of things. But to me, it's about the story, right? What are you selling to your staff, which is these head coaches? What are you selling to them? What are you promising to them? Right? What is their outlook over the next 5 years? What is their outlook for the duration of their contract? To me, what I'm at least taking from the situation between Hallmark and Campos, there's a disconnect, and they're probably gonna have to work on that relationship because from what I hear, it's not great. It's not great. Um, Before I get into the next one, actually, no, I want to go into this now. I forgot to put up my banner for the Hallmark contract situation, but anyway, um, let me know in the comments what you guys think about all of that. By the way, I'm going to respond to those here in a bit. So I want to talk about UTSA football and the pressure it has now in 2025. I think, listen, one of the key things that I think that came from this baseball season, and I'm glad it did, right, is that baseball did so well that, like, and that's coming off what the women's basketball team did, right? So you go women's basketball, you go baseball, and we're doing well everywhere, right? Like, even our cheer team has done well in with nationals and things like that. I know track and field is about to do some national stuff too. But like UTSA, the other sports are picking it up, and football is sort of came into its own over the last few years with Coach Traylor under his stewardship. And the other sports are now starting to make, or not even starting to, they're making their stamp in our new conference, even more, even a bigger stamp than what our football team has made, right? So I think about UTSA football in 2025, and I'm like, yo, these guys gotta, like, it's time for them to, you know, deliver as the revenue driver for the UTSA program, number one. Um, and I think there's a bit of pressure, bro. Like if UTSA goes 7-5 again this year, that's that's tough. That's a tough conversation to have, especially when you think about we're coming in with Owen McCown, who looked great to end last season. You would expect him to start off fast coming into this season. If UTSA stumbles out of the blocks, that can be trouble. That can be trouble. That could be detrimental to what UTSA is trying to achieve, where they're trying to go. And I just think there's so much pressure on this team. And I think it's good pressure, right? You want baseball pushing, setting the high bar. You want them pushing the other sports within the school forward. You want basketball to be pushing the other sports forward as well. You want the program in itself to raise the bar everywhere. But I think this season to me is one of those seasons where it could be, I don't know, it can be a pretty big turning point. If we have a really good year this season from a football standpoint, I really think that it can mean a lot in terms of what our resource pool is going to look like going forward. I think there are more eyes on UTSA than it has been in a long time. And yeah, it's we got a real opportunity this season. I'll be curious to see how it goes. I'm gonna get into some of your questions now. Mike says great things are happening all over UTSA athletics at the same time, which is a problem when there's limited resources. Without large donors, we need the city of San Antonio to step up and help. Listen, I'm gonna tell you something right now. Like the large donors are going to come, but you can't just pluck those out of thin air. Anybody who's been in any type of sales or anything like that, you know that like if you're gonna go make a big sale, you're gonna get a big account. Those are gonna take time and a lot of time and sometimes years. And that's exactly what it's gonna take from a big donor standpoint in San Antonio. To me, UTSA should be beating down the walls to get people to subscribe and get their subscription base up. They should be beating down the wall, $10 a month, $20 a month, so on and so forth. What they do a lot of the times, and it's frustrating because I've had conversations with a lot of the folks over there recently, if I'm just being honest too, about like things that they can do from a marketing campaign standpoint to get more people in San Antonio involved and wanting to contribute. To me, like I see a lot of people on Twitter talk about big donors, big donor this, big donor that. Bro, the reality is we're not going to get big donors anytime soon. So guess what? You got to make do with what you do. Make the people that you already have locked into to the school, make all of them donors in some capacity. It could be 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 a month. It adds up over the course of a year. Think about it. 100 people, right? Paying $10 a month is $12,000, right? And the only reason I bring that up, wait, is that right? I could be wrong. Anyway, my point for bringing that up is UTSA can do, they should, in my opinion, based on all the, I mean, even just from my following, what I see, they have a way bigger following than I do. They could get hundreds, if not thousands of people to do that. That should be their strategy. That is something sustainable. That is something that you could sort of have in the back pocket that's going to be there year in and year out. Build up your subscriber base and leverage people with influence in the area or around the program to do that. I So many missed opportunities, in my opinion, on this. So many missed opportunities. I've shared with them my thoughts on like, yeah, you should for example, I'm sorry, but like I would if I'm UTSA, like use a little bit of marketing budget and just pay Frank Harris to go around and get people to sign up. Hey, pull out your phones, sign up for this and pay $12 or $21 or something a month to support UTSA. You know how many people would do it if he was, you know what I'm saying? Make it worthwhile for him, make him feel comfortable at the games, make him feel good. Give him some money. Pay him $1,000 or something to, like I mean, I'm saying $1,000, but what I'm saying is like there are people that are influencers in the UTSA space. Use them. Come on, bro. They would love to do it. They would love to do it. I digress. But to get back to your question, Mike, to me, the small donors are the most important. I mean, they are probably the most important. We got to start somewhere, bro. You know what I'm saying? Mike says UTSA is the closest SA will have to having a legit pro football team that has staying power. It's time for the city to invest in this program, which can increase the spotlight and tourism. Yes, if it's marketed properly and you take, and like I said, you make the people who aren't big donors feel special because they are. They are. We are. I'm part of those people, right? Like, come on, man. You got to make them feel special, and you got to do. Like I said, I've said this before. I've said this to them directly as well. Cookie cutter, like people make money decisions off emotion. If you send a email to someone with the same freaking thing that you sent them last year with a couple of words different, they aren't going to react off of that. I don't. You gotta pull up your sleeves and get your hands dirty on some of this stuff, bro. Mike says we need to start with getting a piece of the Alamo Dome concessions revenue. We need to be actively pushing our agenda to city leaders and get them on board. I do know they're trying to do some of this stuff. But they gotta see it through. Mike says, shout out to the men's baseball team. What a great run they had this season. I'm sure the athletic program will take care of Coach Hallmark. Yeah, I think they're going to take care of him. Like I said, based on what I've been told, they are doing that. They are doing their thing to like make sure he's good to go. But yeah, there's some interesting stories around the relationship with the relationship between Coach Hallmark and Lisa Campos. Birds up. Shout out to Anthony here. Anthony says, if we see a major coaching removal, does the majority of our baseball players who have years eligibility jump ship? I would think so. Of course. Dude, if he leaves, you can cancel it. Just like if Traylor leaves. If Traylor leaves, he taking all his boys with him. Tell you that right now. He gonna take everybody with him. If Hallmark leaves, come on, bro. Yes. Did you see? Listen, some of those players came out in support of him after his talking about how unreplaceable he was. Yes, absolutely. Roadrunner Hype, he says, birds up. UTSA baseball postseason was a beautiful thing to witness. And shout out to all the runners in the stands watching on TV and hearing crowd chants were crazy cool. Absolutely. Huge congrats to the baseball team. Everybody showing love to the baseball. Yeah, show love to those guys. Those guys represented on a huge level, bro. 100%. Anthony says, also a big thank you to our athletic department for organizing the Adidas sale this past weekend. I heard that was good. Wish I could have been there. I would have bought up the spot if I could have. Mike says anyone who says UTSA football doesn't have pressure this year to win a conference title is fooling themselves. They have to keep up with the other programs who've had a success this year. Listen, I don't necessarily know if a conference title is like mandatory, but they definitely need to be on a short list of teams that are vying for it by the end of the season. When you consider the schedule that we have this year, We have some favorable home games, and some favorable away games, quite frankly. And we have a quarterback that should be getting better. I can tell you he looks a lot physically better from last season already. It's noticeable too. So he's been working hard. So yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, football team, they got a ball. Um, ATX said, you hear about Memphis's football head coach Silverfield's talking smack. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw. So for those of y'all who don't know what ATX is referencing here, he's talking about so the head coach from Memphis. Um, I think he was like asked or something about like we're talking about resources and money and NIL money and what programs have to spend. And there, somehow they got on a discussion in the topic of UTSA and Coach Trailer. And he talked about Coach Trailer's like $28 million contract and said, yo, you signing all this contract with all this money, right? You trying to say we doing XYZ with our money. He basically threw a jab at Trailer saying you taking all the money with the contract you signed. Y'all wanted about resources while this man getting paid $28 million. That's what he said. I'm like, that's crazy. And he was also saying that they ain't got as many resources as we think. I'm like, I don't see how not, bro. Everything that I've seen from the Memphis side. Oh, and I have some verified what I think, or some people that I trust have shared some of the numbers that some of the Memphis players are on. Our players aren't on that. I know what our most expensive player costs. I don't even want to say it out loud because it's not great. It's not great. But yeah, Memphis is playing with a whole different pot. I don't think people realize how small UTSA's pot was. When I got wind of some of those numbers, that was alarming. Anthony says lots of talks on social stating our baseball team is the closest sport to reaching the national championship. Your thoughts on that? Do you agree, or is there another sport you foresee? I mean, maybe. I mean, that's probably true, right? Like that's probably true. But here's what some of those people don't understand, because I saw the poll that I think one of the Alamo Audible Duck guys put out. I saw a poll that was like, yo, if you had $1 million in operating budget right now, would you give it to UTSA football or baseball? And I respect what baseball has done. I'm really happy what baseball has done. Like I said, I haven't ever really watched college baseball until this season, and that's all due to UTSA. But that question is always that question, that the answer to that poll is always going to be you give it to football. Football is the revenue driver. You don't like, and without like getting to, without getting too technical into the numbers, but that a $1 million like influx of cash would do so much for football. You guys wouldn't even imagine. It would do so much for football. It almost doubled the pot that they had this past season, from what I've been told. And when you think about UTSA being, just the overall program having to disperse $3 million, or no, $10 million over the next 3 years to their like programs or whatever. Think about that. That just lets you know what UTSA is going to be playing with over the next 3 years. $3.3 million on average over the next 3 years is what we're going to spend. What we're going to have to spend. A $1 million influx is almost a third of that. You know what I'm saying? So like, I respect what they've done. They probably are the closest to the national championship, at least right now. They literally just proved it. But I don't. They definitely deserve investment. I'll leave it at that. Just not at the total expense of what the football team is doing, because the return, the ROI on that is never going to work out, right? Like, I don't know how much money. Like, I don't know what the comparison is of how much revenue football is generating versus baseball, but I'm quite sure it's very significant. Silverfield is Jeff Trailers B. It's Rap says beating A&M is now the most important game to win for next year for Traylor to remind the people why UTSA football is the front porch, the thing he hasn't beaten any P4 Texas teams. I don't agree. And that's probably unpopular because a lot of folks think that this A&M game, we have to beat A&M. Guys, should we go in and perform well against A&M? Absolutely. Are we gonna beat A&M? Probably not. Putting pressure on us to beat A&M, I think that is stirring up a pot unnecessarily. Like let's just call a spade a spade. A school of that stature is not supposed to lose to a school of our stature. That's just a fact. Like that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Like A&M is going to comfortably, they're going to comfortably hit that $20.5 million cap. We will probably struggle to hit our $3.3 million, $3.3 million average thing this year. We're not in the same game, We're not in the same game. It would be great, don't get me wrong, but like saying that it's almost like a must win. I don't agree with that one. Shout out to It's Rab though. It's like my favorite dude on here. One of my favorites. All of y'all my favorites, but he's definitely one. He's on the short list. Mike Muniz says the line for UTSA gear sale last weekend at the Convo was long. Good to see lots of people going out and support the athletic program. It was nice. I've seen a lot of the photos and the videos from it. Anthony says the fans support Coach Hallmark. Absolutely. Now I hope we can find the financials to build what the Bird Bath should really be with the UTSA upgraded stamp. Yeah, they got to give him something. And that's what I'm saying. Like they got to sell to him what the vision is. The athletic director has to sell to him what the vision is for his what's name. And you got to deliver on promises. That's it. I mean, one of the things that I hear that's one of his biggest sticking points with the athletic director right now is the promises that have not been delivered. Apparently he was promised quite a bit of things in 2022 whenever he signed the extension, and very little from what I hear has been like very little of those promises were kept. That's the biggest amount of detail I can give on that. But yeah, he was promised things that he did not get, and he's an intense guy who's probably upset about it. So they got to get him what he needs. Anthony says, I'm optimistic and hopeful our athletic department will do whatever's necessary to solidify our baseball program's future. I mean, we just got to see what that means and what that looks like. And maybe she just cans, right? That's one of the things that people have to kind of like wrap their head around too. We are just not there's going to be times where we are just not going to be able to do it. And that's going to suck. And there's a lot of fingers you can point at that, but we're just not going to be able to do some of those things. Like I seen, I think it was Javi or somebody highlighting like, oh, people weren't doing this stuff back when Lynn Hickey was here. Like, yeah, they were. I remember those. I was in the program at the time. I remember some of the flack she was getting as well. It just is different. Like UTSA Twitter's crazy now. But like we've had a lot of these issues for years, decades. And the fact of the matter is, in some of these cases, we just can't. And I think that's going to be the reality of a lot of it. And a coach and people just around the program are going to have to make a decision. Hey, they can't give me this. Do I stay here anyway, or do I go somewhere else? I'm sure that that's a conversation that is probably tough and uncomfortable, but has to be had as well. It's Rab says, I'm tired of all those media pundits that try to hold off any AD criticism. Instead of helping out, put pressure on the AD and the president to get things done. All that bootleg. Thank you for saying. This is why I love It's Rab, bro. Because I love, we don't agree often, but we agree on this. I have been beating my desk about this over and over and over. And I'm gonna share some stuff on this topic specifically that I think it's really important for you guys just to know. Whenever, and I said this in my article too. This is why I'm happy that he brought this up, guys. When you criticize the AD, it's not even criticize. I ask questions a lot of the times, right? Because we don't have answers. I don't have answers. I know things that I hear. I ask questions because I hear things. I also ask questions because there are people within the program who are scared to speak out because they can't. That's in a lot of ways that's their boss, right? They can't speak out. They either scared, they literally can't because optically, you can't go against your boss per se. Um, there are folks who pull money, significant amount of money, because of like guys. And I'm talking multiple people. Like I said, I'm not talking about one or two. I'm talking multiples that have come to me or just come up in conversation about things, like I said, things that need to be better. I call those out. I've never once called for her job. At least I don't think I have. Right? It's not about calling for somebody's job. It's just about understanding, hey, like you've done some of these things well, but there's this other piece over here that's really important right now that we're lacking on, right? And like whenever you say any of these things publicly, there are some people on Twitter that will just bite your head off, bro. I've gotten so much flack, so many weird subtweets from people that I respect, people that I've had on this show, to be honest, that have just that have take this position of like, oh, like that AD is like, bro. Here's what I'll say. Like, I have a very different position from a media standpoint as it comes to UTSA. I I love the program. Number one, that's why I cover it. That's why I spend so much time watching it, right, and supporting it the way I can, and spend a lot of time with you guys doing this and on Twitter and all this stuff because I love the program. I support it, so on and so forth. But I'm never going to be one that's like none of this pays my bills. It would be great if I could create content and it pays a bill, just one bill. If my content could if my me do being a content creator for UTSA, if it could pay my bills just for the content that I make, I'd be great. That's a Canva subscription and a couple other subscriptions. If this I'm joking, but when I say that, it's like some of these other people who are in the media do this. It's their full time job, right? Not necessarily UTSA, but it's important for them to like have these relationships so they can maintain access. They can like get whatever scoops they get, so on and so forth. I don't have the same thing, right? I'm a credentialed media person with them, but like I'm not looking to go and like have Lisa Campos on my show to like give me more credibility or validation. Not that other people are doing that necessarily, but like it is an advantage to have a good relationship with, some of these people in order for their content and some of their, access to be granted and to be fruitful for others. I don't share that. And like, so anyway, like you have like this discourse of like, oh, there's a lot of people that worship the ground that she walks on. I understand supporting and everything, but at the same time, like, bro, we're not going to push forward or carry forward if we don't ask some uncomfortable questions sometimes. And the bootlicking is crazy. All that bootlicking for access is crazy. It's Rab is spot on. He's spot on. He is spot on. And some of these people, it's not even like bootlicking for access because I'm not necessarily talking about like all the media members. It's the people on Twitter who are like that who can be like googly eyed over like every single thing. And I'm like, guys, it doesn't really work like that. Like, yes, you can buy what they're selling whenever they have something to sell, but guys, there's a lot more going on. And without even like talking about some of the things that I know or people talk about behind the scenes, You can look. These coaches are saying these things out loud, folks. This coach is complaining about resources out loud. Coach Hallmark. Coach Traylor has done it for years. Basketball coach have done it for years. They are doing, like, it's right in your face. And it's not that somebody's doing a bad job. It's just like, hey, why is this happening? Why is this person disgruntled? Why is this person continuing to ask this question about they feel that they're not getting support? Why is this continuing to be? It's right in front of us. And when someone points that out, like, the knives get drawn so fast. And I'm used to it. I'm cool with dealing with it. But like I said, from some of the people I've talked to that's within the program, they see that type of behavior whenever her name is mentioned in a critical way. They see all the people draw out knives, and now it closes their mouth. Now they can't say anything. They'll come to me and they'll say, hey, this is what's going on. I would love to say something, but I can't. I would love to say something publicly, but I can't. Not in a position to, or I don't need that kind of heat, so on and so forth. Y'all, if y'all only knew, bro. David says beating a P4 team in football is a much more difficult task compared to other sports. There are very clear gaps in physique among players. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a different, like I said this before. P4 and G5 or G6, whatever you want to call it now, it's a different, that's different sports, bro. It's not the same. And I'm talking P4 on a high level. We're not talking about the same football. We're just not. No. David says, though I do agree with getting an underdog win against the P4 opponent will propel the athletic department much more. Though I do, yeah. I mean, listen, I would love to get the win. I just don't want to, like, say, hey, this is a must-win game against A&M. Like, is it? Honestly, if we beat A&M, what's crazy, like, is the thing that I said earlier about overachieving. If we end up in a position where we're overachieving, right? Like, we're gonna be like, hey, we beat A&M. Now we need to, like, go get $1 million quarterback once Owen McCown leaves. It's just not gonna happen. We don't have the resources, right? So, like, Mike says, I thought Jeff Traylor was the coach in 2021 when we beat Illinois. He was. You're checking somebody. Yeah, it was a P4 win. That's fair. Albert Pena, he was okay. Yeah, he's answering the question. He says, talking about P4 Texas teams, that's what San Antonio cares about. Even the only one P4 win in general is crazy thinking about it. Makes it more important. The pressure is on for UTSA football. The pressure is on, but y'all know how I feel about the A&M. Wilson had a win over Baylor, and that's a sad fact. Yeah, Baylor was awful that year, though. But nevertheless, yeah, we did. Roadrunner Hype says football proved to be the deciding factor in conference realignment and gave us the edge into American. Financially, the program should be given the priority, but we must also find balances. Absolutely, you got to find balance. But I'm telling you right now, the balance is going to be shifted by who brings in what revenue. I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. It is not like with a lot of the baseball people who are on the baseball train right now. It does not generate much revenue at all for us. It just doesn't. It's not a needle mover. That's just a fact. They did very well. Don't get me wrong. But, like, compared to what basketball has the potential to bring in and what they bring in, it's just not. It's a different type of discussion. But you gotta, like, also think about other. I mean, the thing that sucks is for some of the other sports like track and even the cheer team. The cheer people, they're everywhere. They follow those teams everywhere, and they're athletes as well. Everybody needs money. Everybody needs resources. And the other coaches should acknowledge that fact too. Yep. Mike says A&M looks to be a preseason top 25 in most polls. Yeah, beating them is a big ass, especially given the recent history and how we start the season. Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. I don't want to put too much pressure on that. Personally, I don't want to put too much pressure on it. Seth says, "Do you think we have to lose one of our head coaches for people to donate and take this?" No, I think the marketing efforts need to be. This sucks because I like all the people that's like around the marketing. What's the name? Like, and this is not necessarily a shot at them. Um, it's not a shot at them at all because I've had very good and positive conversations with a lot of the decision makers on some of the marketing stuff. But I will call a spade a spade. Like their hands are tied on what they can do because they have to like the approvals that they have to do to announce anything is crazy. Like they got to get stuff goes through like 17 approvals before they can like do a post about something. Um so like that's tough. It limits what they can do because everything has to be above board, right? That's why I'm saying no. It's like to me, take some of your marketing budget and outsource it to people who don't have to be in the same freaking don't have to play by the same rules. I'm not saying do it with me. I'm sure they don't want to touch me with that type of thing, right? I don't know if they do. I don't know if they don't. Like, but like, I have people come in here every single chat. Somebody's asking about donating. Every single chat, every single post that I get that I make throughout the week. Not every single one, but most of them. Donors, donation, subscription. Something is in the replies. All I'm saying is people that carry some influence, use them. Like I said, I'm not talking about myself really. I mean, like I understand the position I'm in, and like I'm not going to be leveraged for that type of thing. I'm not San Antonio native, um, like I'm not worried about myself. But the names that I've mentioned every single time I talk about this: Frank Harris, Jarvion Williams, David Glasgow. The list goes on. San Antonio homegrown people that are still in San Antonio, that are influences in the community, that have a voice in the community. Why aren't you having these guys sort of be your make it worth their while? You ain't like these. You're gonna get these guys on a discount anyway. You know what I'm saying? You could listen if you have Frank Harris going around and you told him for just at a tailgate, we're gonna pay you. We'll give you $1,000, Frank, to go to the tailgate and get people to sign up $20 a month. And if you get over X amount of people, you know, we might give you an incentive, or we just give you that flat rate and see what the return on, the return on your money is there, right? Like you can't think about that also in just 1 year increments either. Like those people are likely going to be donors for years upon years. That money that is going to compound. You don't have to do that every week. I'm just putting out an idea. Like get someone with influence and then allow them to skirt some of the rules because your hands are tied. That's just me though. I could be completely off. Like that could be illegal for all I know. I have no idea. But to me, um, I mean, I'm telling you, like if I can tell you the way our fan base is for UTSA. If one of them head coaches leave, you're gonna get people that's gonna disengage. They're not gonna go and donate now. They're gonna disengage. They want to donate now, but we still have things like people like, and this is a thing. I've shared this stuff with them as well. People complain about, hey, it's not really easy to donate. They did do something with that new interface. It is a little easier. It's a little bit more streamlined, but it's still, you click a link and it takes you to 3 other things. And it still takes you 5 or 6 clicks to get the donation. Where I use UT, for example, you can take 2 clicks. You go to UT's landing page, you got 2 clicks and you can donate money. You got to make it easy for people and you got to empower the influencers, bro. I think the concept, let me stop because I don't want to offend anybody. But the concepts are, I'm not saying it's not that hard because I understand that a marketing program like this at scale is never easy. but I don't think they're helping themselves. They're not taking some of the low hanging fruit, is what I'm talking about. Seth says, "Do you think our uniforms are going to look different this year, or will we just put the check on it?" Nah, they'll look different. Nike's going to want to like. It's going to be the first year. Nike's already done a great job with their sort of campaign, marketing campaign with like the introduction of them working with UTSA. They'll have something cool in the works for us. It's Rap says pre-polls are carried by a brand name. That ain't nothing new. They're still going to be probably miles ahead of us in terms of expectation. It's Rap says if your goal is beating Texas State, it's a sad state of affairs for UTSA football program. Y'all want to be back in 2012 so bad, but you need higher goals to go for in order to make meaningful moves. Is all. I get where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from, and I get like you do got to set higher bars and higher targets. I don't. The goal isn't to me necessarily beat. I mean, we definitely need to beat Texas State. Don't get me wrong, and I don't think. I mean, Texas State embarrassed us last year. They're gonna be good again this year. Like to me, it's that goal is a little bit more significant of beating Texas State because of what it means for South Texas football and who runs things down south. Fact of the matter is, even if we beat A&M, we're still going to be recruiting rivals with Texas State. So that's an important game to win, number one. But I don't think that's necessarily the goal. To me, the goal should be conference championship, AAC. That's the goal. So yeah, definitely don't want to. I mean, I could go back to 2012 because I was playing, so I could go back to reminisce. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up here in a couple of minutes. We got a few more questions I'm gonna roll through, and we're almost at the stopping time at 7. Appreciate you guys for being with me. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Carol B says bootlicking. Shout out to Mike, said this has been a great show. Appreciate you for being here, man. Appreciate your support and all of the questions. You guys keep me going. That's not me bootlicking. Shout out to you. It's Rap says get a sponsor ready to announce predicated on beating A&M for max traffic. That's UTSA betting on themselves to win right there for a brand partner to want to sponsor and get in. Listen, everybody, like I think that'd be great. I definitely think if we were to beat A&M, there'd be a lot that's going to come from that. But I don't know. We'll see. Carson says, I know Texas State Athletics has the take over their accounts one time a year for a football game for marketing. That's interesting. They might not have as much red tape to get through. Apparently, UTSA has a lot of red tape to do one post of anything. Everything has to be above board. It has to be structured a certain way. And there's a extensive approval process on what they can and can't do, what they can and can't say. Yeah, it's interesting. Mike says maybe we have social media UTSA influencers or supporters have the link donate on their profile. But here's the thing. Here's and I'll end on this comment here. Like when you think about some of the other schools, right? Like they will make people influencers. Understand what I mean by this? Like like now some of these guys are going to be natural influence. When you think about the bigger schools, right? You know, like for example, Colorado is always going to have Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders, right? The popularity they have and what they're going to do. Like what I mean by making them influencers is let's posit a world where Shedeur Sanders doesn't have a great career and I'm not putting this on him. I actually think he'll be a solid NFL quarterback. But let's say things go wrong, right? Because of what he did at the program, he's one of those guys. You know what? Actually, I'll scratch Shedeur. Vince Young is a better person for this. Vince Young to me, I'll compare him and like Frank Harris, right? Obviously, like different scales, right? But like Vince Young means a lot to that UT program. Frank Harris means a lot to UTSA program, right? Like Vince Young the pros didn't work out. He started out fine, but it just didn't work out for him, right? Um, since then, like he's sort of like been an ambassador for UT, and he's been a face that they constantly bring around, and someone that they've almost empowered to have continue to maintain his big voice. And he's not like this is not an apples to apples comparison, but what I'm saying is they've made him relevant post career, right? Throughout what he did for the program, they've sort of made him an influencer over time since he's left. What I'm saying with UTSA is like you can make some of these people like within our program influencers, especially when they already have momentum. Like they already have a popular name. Everybody knows Frank Harris's name. If you know UTSA football, especially in recent years, Frank Harris's name is synonymous with that, right? He's someone with like a lot of freaking influence. So you almost make that person like as a school, you continue to push that guy, push him in front of folks, right? Because he's going to be able to go out and get a subscription before somebody. Like people are more likely to listen to him and to subscribe because they met him than meeting, one of the administrators that are like working on the marketing team because they're going to be excited. Oh my God, it's Frank Harris. I'm talking and chatting with Frank Harris. Blah blah blah. Sign me up. You know what I'm saying? Like you can make your influencers and then deploy them out. They'll go get your subscribers for you. I say the same thing with money or with like they can use the same strategy with donors, right? UTSA has influence in San Antonio. These people are in bed with, or not in bed, but like they work with mayors, they work with government officials, they're working with they're working with some big companies and all of this type of thing. Use your influence to help some of these people who are in the city or some folks who are like in the business development and they want to open up a business or something like that. Like use your influence in those ways. Cause guess what? Like, what if UTSA makes 2, 3, 4, 5 business owners and they end up being influencers? Now you're going to get someone who's going to come in and be able to, like not only get you subscribers and things like that because they have their voice is influencing the community, but you're also going to have someone who is now a new business owner that's probably going to donate chunks of money, right? So like to me, there's so many leads that UTSA had. There's so many different levers that they could pull to do some of this. It's not easy. I'm not saying it is, but some of it is low hanging fruits. And I'm like, hey, the influencer piece is easy, bro. That one's easy. That one's easy. And I'm not saying they're completely neglecting that, right? They bring Frank Harris back all the time. Or they brought him. I mean, he's only been gone for a year, but they brought him. He was definitely a part of their plans last year, and he was like around the tailgates and stuff like that a lot. But like, how much is that going to happen? And they might still continue to do that. I don't know if there's like a formal deal that they have with him on some of this stuff. But all I'm saying is, like, there's things that I would deploy or I would at least explore if I was there. Don't know if they're exploring those because to me, a lot of those look like low hanging fruit and they just haven't been tapped in yet. And I've been talking about some of these for years. But anyway, I went over time a little bit. Thank you guys for sticking around with me. If you guys could do me a favor, if you're here, like and subscribe, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and give me a shout on X about what you guys thought about today's show. If you guys could do that and do me a favor to get more people into this. And yeah, also tell a friend to follow me on Twitter too. I'm trying to get my following up. I would love to reach 3,000 followers by the start of football season. I'm at about almost 2,100 now. Got a long way to go, but I appreciate you guys' help. But I will catch you guys same time next week. I am out. Peace.